Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, episode 102. I am your host, Dave Hartman. My guest this week is owner of the Shooter Source and match director for North Texas Multigun, Jeremy Moore. Before we get into the interview, I want to thank you for downloading and listening to the show. The Three Gun Show is a weekly podcast dedicated to the fastest growing shooting sport, Three Gun. Each week, I bring you a new episode featuring one of the many awesome personalities in Three Gun, and we talk about training, gear, match strategy, funny stories, and just generally have a good time. If you like the show, there are multiple ways of supporting the podcast, including using our affiliate links when you shop at Brownells, Amazon, Cabela's, and Optics Planet. Just go to 3gunshow.com/support for the links. I also want to tell you that you can get your copy of the Three Gun Show match checklist free by going to 3gunshow.com/checklist. Enter your email and you will receive a free PDF download that includes everything that Jansen Jones takes with him when he travels to a match, and it will help you pack for your next major match. Today, Jeremy and I discuss how he got hooked into Three Gun, causing him to create North Texas Multigun and the Shooter Source. North Texas Multigun has a lot of great matches coming in 2017, including the Vortex Presents Shooter Source Three Gun Championship, April 21st through 23rd. This is a 10-stage match and held at Triple C Range in Crescent, Texas. And I heard from many Three Gunners that attended 2016's match that it was a ton of fun. So for details and registration, check out northtexasmultigun.com. And I'll also include a link in the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 102. And now please join me in welcoming to the show, Jeremy Moore. Jeremy, welcome to the Three Gun Show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you, man. We got to meet this summer at Rocky Mountain Three Gun. Chatted briefly. Dave Horn and a couple of the other people were like, "Hey, you got to meet Jeremy." And you and I have been near each other a bunch of times over the years, and we just have never met each other because I've shot like the Shooter Source. God, what do they call it now? Colorado Shotgun.
Pikes Peak
Shotgun Challenge.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's like, dang it, I missed it in 2016, so I forgot the name already. But but yeah, I've seen you and Shooter Source all over matches around the nation and everything, and it's great to actually speak to you in person here.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. There's a lot of dudes that don't get to see that often, and I don't get out to as many matches as I like to anymore. And I try to shake hands and say hello to everybody, especially when you got so many Facebook friends and stuff like that. And it doesn't always happen, I regret it, but
that's true.
It is what it is.
That's true. Well, and so along those lines of not getting to touch every person that you would like to throughout the throughout the shooting season. Now we're going to be talking in front of a couple thousand people, so now's your opportunity to say hello to everyone, and and as well as introduce yourself to a bunch of new people as well. So Jeremy, we're going to talk a lot about the Shooter Source. I alluded to that as well as North Texas Multigun, but let's take it back a little bit here and learn a little bit about you. Why don't you give us an idea of who you are off the range, and maybe what do you do when you don't shoot?
Well, I'm just a Louisiana boy. Grew up in Louisiana, moved to Dallas. We're out of Dallas, Texas now, back in 95, and had a landscaping business for, about 16, 17 years. And what kind of got me into shooting was, I think it's a natural progression of a lot of shooters. You go to the indoor range and you shoot around every 2 seconds or whatever the rule is. And then there was this guy in there one day and he's like, "Hey, come out there and shoot with us this weekend." And kind of find out it was IDPA. So shot that for a year and showed up on the wrong weekend out there. And it was USPSA weekend. Then found out what USPSA was and quickly abandoned IDPA and started, and nothing against it. It was just, a lot less rules as far as how you can run a stage. And then we got through with the USPSA match one day. This was a year or two later. And these guys were like, "Hey, we're going to shoot three gun up at who's a friend of mine now, Maurice Griffin's place. I'm like, what's that? And long story short, went and shot that, and I was hooked on it like a fat kid on cake. I mean, it was just, after that, that's all I wanted to do, and.
So what kind of time frame are we talking here?
Man, I've been shooting 3-gun about 8 years, and about 5 or 6 of those years running 3-gun.
Okay, so when you were introduced to like IDPA, USPSA, were you still doing the landscaping thing?
I was, very much so. Still doing that. That's pre-Shooter Source, pre-North Texas Multigun. That's me out there with my XDM, because it come with a mag pouch and a holster. So I thought, I'm
You're
getting like
set.
3 things in one,
So have you always had like an entrepreneurial spirit? Does that like run in your family?
I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it does. It does. And everything from a kid mowing yards, to as soon as I moved over here, Dallas, started my own gig doing stuff. And I take that back. I worked for a fence company for a little bit, and then moved into landscaping. But yeah, I don't know if you call it entrepreneurial, or I'm still a 10-year-old and I don't like to be told what to do. So,
Unemployable?
Huh?
Unemployable?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a hard worker, but but yeah, I guess
Just like do it for yourself, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's something to be said about doing your own thing. It's the freedom you're allowed when you get to set hours and stuff, so.
Yeah, John Paul of JP Rifles gave me that unemployable thing. He proudly proclaimed himself unemployable, and that's why he works for himself.
That's awesome.
So you shot USPA for a little bit, or USPSA for a little bit, and then you discovered 3-gun, and you just went full force into it. I mean, did you have like all the gear to start with?
Well, when we went out there to Mo's place and shot my first 3-gun match, we got done. We all went to lunch or dinner afterwards, and I was like, well, when's the next one? Is it next weekend? He's like, oh, it's next month, first Sunday of every month. And I just wanted to cry, dude. I was like, I got to wait a month to do this again. That's just, I want to do this quicker. So I had a bunch of targets already, and I found a place out in Fort Worth, about an hour from me, and asked the landowner, it's like, hey, can I lease a little part of land from you? Just let me and my buddies come out here and shoot a little bit. And she's like, yeah, honey, come on. I forget what she charged me, but I'd take my trailer out there with all my targets. We'd set up a stage, and me and 2 or 3 of my buddies, we'd shoot it. It was our own little private 3-gun match. We'd shoot it, and then we rearrange the stage, or we reshoot it. We do that 5 or 6 times, or until it got dark. And that went on about every month. And 2 or 3 of my buddies turned into 5 or 10 to 10 to 12, and then there's like 20. And I'm like, dude, this is becoming a lot of work. I better start charging for this or something, because this is costing me a lot of money. And honestly, that was the birth of North Texas Multigun. It wasn't a planned thing. It was just, I want to go out there and do this to more. I want to get better at this, and that little piece of land is now Triple C Tactical Range, the home of where we shoot. So 3,800 acres of just shooting land,
Wow, 3,800 acres. That's crazy.
It's crazy, dude. It's a phenomenal place. It's got some rolling hills, which act as kind of natural berms, if you will.
Okay.
But then you get down to the pistol bays, and I kind of told the lady, the owner at the time, I was like, you got a beautiful land, there's not a range over here at the time, and you can make a little bit of money. I was like, make a lot, but she was like, cool, go down there and lay out the bays. I'm like, whoa, what? So went down there and started laying out bays, just putting flags. About a month later, get a phone call from her, and she's a sweetheart, but she doesn't repeat herself. And she's like, come out to my place, and just hung the phone up. I called her back. I was like, think we got cut off? She goes, no, I said what I had to say. And so anyway, I drove straight out there. And, keep in mind, this is about 3 weeks later, maybe a month.
Right.
There were 17 bays completely built.
17? 17
bays.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's kind of what I said in other words. And,
yeah.
And she's like, what do you think? I was like, wow, this looks good. She goes, what does it need? So we need some awnings down through the middle. She goes, okay, I'll call you when they're ready. and they're really good people out there. There's a lot of stuff that goes on out there. It's not open to the public. So it kind of lets a lot of instructors have some privacy, especially some instructors that maybe don't want civilians seeing certain kinds of training, if you will. So that and a lot of competitions. I run 4 matches a month out there. There's another club that runs 2. There's a PRS club that runs 1. So it's a pretty busy place for not being open to the public. And then they do a lot of training out there as well.
Yeah, holy cow, that does sound like quite the busy place for a private, just I guess land.
It really is. Whether you want to go down there and just get in a bay and do something, or there's targets set up out to, I think the furthest targets we got set up right now is 2,400 yards. So what is that, a little over a mile? And so there's some of the PRS guys that shoot out there has put quite a bit of time and effort into it, and it benefits everybody. But there's probably 90 permanent targets on the range with berms behind them, like I said, out to 2,400 yards. And
man, that's one of the cooler things about the shooting sports is people want to improve something for themselves, and then it does end up benefiting everyone as well. Like you just wanted to go shoot matches, and so you went out and set one up, and then now it's turned into something big that everyone can enjoy. Yeah,
and I honestly, it took me about a year or so to realize that I actually got a passion. And it's weird as it sounds, a passion for getting out there, setting up stages, designing stages, and seeing the reactions on the shooter's face come match day. I get a ton of enjoyment out of that. And especially at the local matches, I'm kind of known to set up tough stages. But part of my theory is I want you to get better. Especially my local shooters. I look at a local match as that's your homework. If we put this in school terms, that's your homework. The major matches are the test, and just like you get help with your homework from your parents, I encourage coaching at my local matches, because when I put 110 yard pistol shot out there, I don't want you leaving there going, well, I didn't hit that. I don't know where I was going. I wanted, hey, somebody's telling you you're low left, you're low right, you're high, you're low, whatever it is. So you can walk away with it and learn, this is where I hold at 100 yards, or this is where I hold at 600 with a rifle, or whatever it may be, So I know everybody's got their opinion on coaching. To me, letting you learn from it, it's a valuable thing, and that's the way we do it.
I like that. I like that attitude. And I've talked to a lot of match directors, especially of local matches, and one of the constant things I hear is, I'm getting a lot of feedback that I need to dumb the match down. And when people set up matches like in the spirit which you're talking about, of like, hey, let's get better. This is our practice, and let's improve. Sometimes it intimidates newer people, or maybe people that aren't necessarily as serious about it. So I always say, no, please keep it good, because, it creates better shooters. But as a match director, Jeremy, how do you work that balance between getting new people to come to your matches and stay versus feeding the top of your food chain there?
That's something I battle with on a daily basis. It's tough, and I don't think there's a perfect answer. Not that I figured out, but to challenge everyone, and this is kind of my motto. I want to challenge every shooter, every guy that he just bought his first gun and shooting his first match, to we've got some really good shooters that shoot our matches. I want to challenge them all, but don't discourage anyone. And that's always tough. And, I got a few dudes that shoot with us regularly that are really, really good with new shooters as far as taking them under the wing and really being helpful and proactive. So I try to put them with those people to where when they look at that long pistol shot, they don't just completely freak out. They're explained, hey, I had one guy, and this is probably one of my proudest moments to date. About a year and a half ago, there's a new shooter showed up, and he's got a Glock 19. It's his carry gun, and, just an AR rifle. And we do a 2-gun division as well. So if you don't like the shotgun or don't have one, you can shoot 2-gun. Anyway, there's a 100-yard IPSC out there, and he was just like, man, this is a CQB gun. And I'm like, dude, no such thing. So let's forget those words real quick, okay? And I kind of told him, I was like, most of these factory pistols, what about 25 yard zero out of the factory, roughly. I'm like, just hold it on the head, apply the good fundamentals, you will hit it. So he's shooting along, and I'm running him on this stage, and he gets to that target and takes him 2 shots, but he gets it, and he is just ecstatic. He is like 10 foot tall and bulletproof and just giddy and like a little schoolgirl. I'm like, good job, but keep shooting the stage. You're not done yet. He's like, oh yeah. Anyway, he is now one of the guys to where he shows up to at least 2 matches a month, if not all 4. And he's come such a long ways. He's, and I'd like to think some of that is me pushing him out of his comfort zone, but he's put the work in, and so I think if you can get these guys and take them under your wing a little bit and make them at ease to where not just throw them in the deep end, that keeps them coming back, some of them. And some of them it's just not for them,
Yeah.
I hadn't figured out a way to put a 3-gun match on where you're not there at 8 o'clock and you're leaving, most of mine, you're leaving at 4, and that just eats up a lot of a day. And so some people don't come back because, their life just didn't allow that kind of time. And I try to follow up with most new shooters via email, try to stay in some kind of communication of what you think, and try to get feedback. And some of them, hey, that was tough. But like I said, we try to offset it with coaching for that reason is, we want them to come back. We want them to have fun. And like we say, we just want them to do American things in America. That's all it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of actually contacting them afterwards and then finding out, what they thought of it. That seems like unique. I don't hear about that a lot. In our sport. But the the mentorship sort of aspect of it too, that also seems like something that people can easily replicate. Now, how do you identify the people that regularly come to your matches that are interested, would be interested, or would be like a good candidate for, maybe coaching new people along through a match?
Shooting's a big community, but it's also a small world. So I know most of the guys that shoot my matches. If you've been there a handful of times, my goal is if I've never seen you at my match, I may not do it at registration because I'm just busy, but I'll come up and introduce myself at the end of the day, and I try to do that. It doesn't always happen, but, I at least want to let them know, here's a face with the name that you've been emailing, and some people dig it. Some people are like, that dude's and it goes on. But I know most of the guys, so I kind of know who to pair them with. And some of them, you got one of the guys that shoots from the pretty regular named Jack. And you got people like Monty Long that's there and other dudes like that. And the Aaron Butlers and John Gronins who would just gladly take people under their wing without even me asking or me saying anything. They're there to help. They just have that mentality of they're just good dudes. And we all have a common goal of, going out there and shooting and having fun and getting more people into guns, whether it's, IPSC or Skeet or whatever it is. You want more people to enjoy what we enjoy. And it's not hard, and sometimes some of those guys may not be there. There's a big match going on and they're all there. Not a big deal. I'll take them. I'll take a squad of new shooters. Come on, guys, we're going. It'll be 5 or 6, but it lets us take our time and start training them. If you're not shooting, you're resetting, getting them trained properly, and making sure they're safe, and just kind of take them under my wing for that.
I like it. This reminds me of a gym I used to go to, CrossFit Encounter here in Colorado. And one of the things I really liked about it is there was no strangers. When I first started, I always thought it was weird. Like, people are coming up and like, hey, I'm so-and-so. And, I'm like, why are these people so nice? It's just weird. And then after a while, I realized, like, oh, that's the culture. Like, I was used to going to like a big gym where no one talked to each other and they just had earbuds in, right? So right. I think it sounds like once, like you have that sort of culture as well. Like, once you set sort of the tone for encouraging new people, then your experienced shooters or your experienced members are more inclined to do that, because that is the culture here. That's what we as North Texas Multigun do.
Yeah. I kind of had I don't know the right word for it, about 3 years ago. I've got a 17-year-old daughter. She shoots with us from time to time. And she's a good kid, so she doesn't really run her mouth too much. But she told me one day, I was trying to run a match and shoot it, and it never fails. As soon as you're on deck or you're making ready, that's when the radio goes off. And you're like, good grief, And she told me, she goes, you get kind of grumpy whenever you're trying to run a match and shoot it. And at the time, coming from her, that's a lot, okay? For her to tell me that's a lot.
Huh.
So I created a new rule for myself. You don't shoot the matches you run, because I cannot do both of them well. All I do is shoot like crap if I try to, or I'm not going around greeting customers, because that's what they are. They are customers. I'm not doing my job. So as much time as I spend on the range, I shoot little or less than I have in a long time. So I try to make a point to make it an event. Don't come to the match, come to an event. Sometimes we'll cook out lunch for everybody, just do different things. But somebody said it once, and it really just, it hit home with me that, okay, I'm doing something right. I'm not doing everything right. And they're like, yeah, North Texas Multigun, come for the shooting and stay because of the people. I'm like, dude, that's pretty awesome, so I'm going to steal that. So, it's like I said, shooting's a big world, but it's a small community as well. And there's a lot of people that, we got a lot of good dudes that shoot with us that are in the area. Not because anything we did, it's just their personality. And got some drama queens, don't get me wrong, but I'll weed those out pretty quick. But at the same time, I'm just surrounded with good people that help these new shooters get into it. And whether it's gear or loaning them gear, or just being a mentor, just answering simple questions, that stuff we learned years and years ago, we kind of take for granted that we know. But these people are new to it, and they're going to have butterflies, but let's try to make them feel at home when they get here, and make them want to come back.
I love that philosophy. You mentioned the knowledge that we have, and sometimes we don't know we have it. The curse of knowledge is a real thing. It's you're trying to teach one concept and you've skipped over 17 of them because you think, oh, that's just common knowledge because I know it and everyone knows it. That's kind of hard to, it's hard for me anyway to keep that in my mind where it's like, oh yeah, these things I know are things I learned over a period of years. So do you have some sort of like roadmap that you take your new shooters through, or I mean, how do you start? Because you probably get people coming with like you said, a Glock 19, pump shotgun, M4 style rifle, and of course they want to buy all the gear. So what's your starting point, and where do you direct them from there?
I guess I don't have a roadmap. I'm pretty much a fly by the seat of my pants type of person, which is it's not a good thing, but it's just who I am. First and foremost, I tell people just bring what you have. Don't go buy anything up front, which sounds odd from a dude that makes a living off you buying stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
I tell them, do not go buy a bunch of crap unless you like a closet full of crap that you're never going to use, like we all have. They just bring what you have, whatever you don't have. I have a huge container out there with extra gear that you can try. You don't have to have all the gear before you can finally come shoot a match. Just show up. If you don't have it, we'll loan it to you. And, a lot of guys have different gear, and they're all quality gear. It's just different preferences. Example, one may run like a carbon arms caddy. Somebody else runs Invictus. Well, how do you know which one you want? They're both quality, right? The internet says this, but the reality of it is that's a personal preference when it comes down to it. So to be able to, in between stages or after a match, for a dude to take his belt off and go, here, try my carbon arms caddy, and let him load some up and shoot some. And another guy goes, here, try Invictus. You get to make that decision. It's like test driving a car. You're test driving equipment.
Yeah,
we got
absolutely.
dudes there that loan you stuff. Both of those companies actually support our matches, so we have some of their gear there you can use. And so I try to kind of guide them that way. It's an expensive sport. If you're shooting this, you have some kind of disposable income. So try to help them make the wise decisions. If you, like you said, if they show up with the M4 and iron sights, and okay, where are you zeroed at? Oh, well, 25 yards. That's as far as I've ever shot. Okay, how about you use my gun today? Because we're going to 500 yards, and it's got a razor 1-6. You can see the target, and so you grab the gun out of the truck, put it in their hands, and you go with them. Okay, on this target, I want you to hold on this tick, or this target, hold here. It's not about trying to get them to buy a razor or whatever. It's about seeing the different options that, unless you're Pat Kelly, iron sights may not be the way to go for you. Not a lot of these matches, but trying a red dot or something, and just let them try some different things before they decide to go out and buy some, or they may stick with irons. We've had some guys show up that look like they just dug a gun out of some kind of Vietnam era great grandpa's safe and absolutely spanked everybody's ass with it. And you're like, wow. We got one cat out there that he shows up with the weirdest gear, and he's such a good dude. He showed with M1 Garand one day, and I was like, okay, this is a new dude. All right, this is going to be fun. He gets out there, and I don't think we went past 400 that day. He has one makeup shot on 9 long-range targets, and he was pretty damn quick.
Jeez.
So, I go, okay, Jeremy, remember Dad told you don't judge a book by its cover? Yeah, remember that, and he shows up with something different every time, and he's very good with them all. So, just trying to help them out and let them test drive equipment before they go buy it, or they may figure out, hey, I don't like 3-gun. It's too active. You make me reset too many targets. I'm out there for 10 hours, and if that's the feedback I get, I usually suggest, hey, try PRS. I got a buddy that runs PRS matches out there, and go try that. And it's funny because one guy's like, well, what's PRS? And how fast does it go, or the momentum? I was like, put it this way. And I love PRS, so I'm not bad-mouthing, and I was being comical with this dude. I was like, PRS is like an old man getting out of a warm bath. He's just moving really slow. 3-gun's like a 5-year-old that ain't had his Ritalin in 3 days. We're just running around like a bunch of madmen, and the following weekend was a PRS match, and I was like, hey, I got to be out the range. I got to do some work. Why don't you meet me out there? I'll introduce you to him. You can kind of see what it's all about. And he's just a big old country dude. Yeah, this is more my speed. I'm doing this,
Nice.
And so at least he stayed in some kind of gun activity.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of my matches or 3-gun or IPSC, but it's not always about that.
Well, that's the cool thing about the shooting sports is there's so many different varieties that there really is something for everyone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to stop with what's already established.
That's true.
We're always thinking outside the box. Matter of fact, here in a couple of weeks, me and my buddy that does PRS, we're joining up doing a 2-man team match. Both dudes will have pistols. One guy's going to have a big gun, so like a 6.5 or bigger or 308 or bigger gun. Other dude's going to have a light gun, and it's a 2-man team match. And sometimes you're shooting at the same time, and sometimes you're spotting for each other. So, and that's actually gotten a lot of traction because it looks like we're going to have about 45 teams there, which is kind of shocking to me, but it's something different. And I think
for a first-time match.
Yeah, and it's just a little local one-day match. We just I just wanted to kind of merge the two big clubs that shoot out there. That's all. Just like, let's meet each other. We're out here. We cross paths all the time. Let's meet each other, hang out, do a little shooting together, get done. Let's go grab a steak somewhere, And we got dudes coming from Arkansas and Oklahoma to shoot this, and it just floors me, But it's
that's a great idea. A great way to get people together, and break bread is to team them up like that. That's an awesome concept.
Oh yeah, and it's got some pretty cool stages. I didn't go overboard on them, and which is hard for me not to go overboard on a stage, but I've got to kind of, take it slow. PRS is not, and when some people have like the Bushnell Brawl. If you ever watch that on Shooting USA or whatever it is, that's kind of a run and gun with big guns. The PRSs that I'm used to seeing is a little bit more slower paced. One position, maybe two, you maybe run 10 yards. So I kind of married the two. We're not going to run as much as I want to in 3-gun, but we're going to cater to both crowds, and I think it's going to be fun. I hope so anyway.
Well, that's good.
And it's probably the stages out there and said, here it is, guys. If you want to show up, we'll be there December. Hell, I forget what date it is, the 10th, I think, or something. And all of a sudden my phone blows up with Arkansas numbers and Oklahoma numbers going, wow, interesting. Okay.
Well, that's pretty cool. It's probably hard to strike that balance between, keeping it interesting for 3-gunners and interesting for PRS. So it'll be cool to hear the feedback that you get from the shooters and, stuff that you can improve on for next year. But it sounds like a pretty cool concept that you have going there.
I think so. It's going to be a hero or zero type thing. It's either it's going to be fun or people are going to be, yeah, it's okay. But you got to try it. You got to do something. And I kind of did this just out of, like I said, one group or the other is always occupying that range at some time, and let's get to know each other. And it's kind of what it boils down to. So you're taking a dude from the PRS club and a dude from my organization and teaming them up and giving them a fancy team name. And people are signing up, like Ted Smith and John Brown signed up, and we're Team Smith and Brown. I kind of emailed them back. I was like, you better come up with a different name than that because this is a fun match. You give me Ted Smith and Brown, you're going to be like Team Powder Puff Girls. It's the way I'm going to enter it on the iPad, okay? So it's like, come up with something cool. Have fun with this, guys. And some of the names that are coming back, I'm like, almost, do I need to text Ken Nelson and like ask him what's the rating on practice score? Is it R? Because some of the team names are I wouldn't say that in front of my daughter, but hey, whatever it is, it is.
The shooters can get a little ornery from time to time.
Oh yes, we can. Yes, it's funny because we had a new shooter there one time at one of the matches, and me and one of my range masters, his name's Jack. Him and I are like oil and water. Jack doesn't have a filter. So you always know where you stand with him, which I respect in a person, but at the same time, and sometimes he's like, damn, Jack, I can't believe you just said that. So him and I were giving each other crap on the stage. And I got my earbuds in, and I hear the new shooter go, man, why are they shooting together? They don't like each other. I just kind of turned at him and grinned. He's like, oh, you heard that? I was like, yeah, dude, I can hear a cricket right now, with these ears. I'm like, there's something you got to understand around here. If we don't like you, we don't talk to you. If we insult you and heckle you, we like you. That's the way it works, okay? So, and he starts laughing. He goes, okay, so y'all aren't just being mean to me. I was like, oh, we're being mean to you, but that's because we want you here. We like your personality.
That's hilarious, and that's something that's played out on ranges all across the country too.
Yeah,
the shooting community is quite fun like that.
It is, but it's where the one thing is, you're cracking on the dude's mom, but as soon as this gun goes down, you're the first one to throw him yours. Here,
yeah, absolutely.
We're in contention for first, but here's my rifle. It's kind of a weird dynamic, bipolar type stuff, but it's what I like about it.
Yeah, well, so you've got, okay, so let's go back a little bit. So you show up, there's 17 bays there, and more improvements were made. So the North Texas Multigun, obviously now you've got a place to grow it. So how has the match grown, and then when did you decide like, hey, the landscaping thing's not gonna fulfill me. I want to put my all into this.
Landscaping thing, I sold it back in January of 2012.
Okay.
Honestly, I just lost the passion for it. And I'm a huge believer in, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, just don't do it. And I'd rather go punch a clock at McDonald's and flip hamburgers and be happy and make a lot less money than getting up every morning just cussing because I got to go to work. So,
Yeah, man, I've been there, and that's no fun at all.
It's not, dude, because if you're not happy, how can you make the wife or the kid or your friends happy? Because you're always in a, grumpy mood.
Yeah, it affects everything.
So I just one day, and I remember it started coming up in 2011, in the springtime for landscapers. Obviously, that's the busy season. And there's many nights at our shop where I would sleep at the shop because it's 12:30 in the morning. I just got through drawing a landscape design plan to submit, and my guy's going to be here at 5 the next morning. Well, I'm just going to take a shower and crash here tonight. I didn't go home for like 3 days, just crazy work hours. And you walk in the door finally, and your little girl seemed like she grew 3 inches in 3 days. And that's the last time I cried. And wow. I was like, this shit ain't worth it, dude. It's like, I'm getting out of this. I'm missing too much of a very important, life. So between that and just kind of losing passion for it, I mean, there's only so many ways you can put brown side down and green side up in landscaping and still be excited, because that's really all it is.
Right.
It kind of fell into my lap where I won a big bid for a city contract doing maintenance, because a lot of our business was maintenance. And a buddy of mine's like, how'd you get that bid? I'm tired of getting beat by you. I was like, well, either offer better service or buy me out. Long story short, 14 days later, he owned the whole kit and caboodle.
Nice.
So, yeah. And, it just, a lot of good things that happened to me just fall in my lap. They're not planned. And so
at that point, did you already know what your next move would be, or did you now think like, well, what am I going to do now?
Not a freaking clue. Shooter Source was started by that time. Honestly, it was nothing, it was nothing like what it is today. And it was never planned to be what it is today. It kind of, you got to forgive me. I'm sporadic. I just jump all over the place like a cat chasing a red laser,
That's cool.
Sorry if I don't
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. And Shooter Source kind of started with, the market wasn't doing good. So I had some extra money laying around. The market wasn't doing it. And that's about the time I got into reloading. And I was like, hey, I can get a dealer account on this and, make a little bit of money selling it to the local people. And that's all it was. It was, okay, if I order $5,000 worth of stuff, I got 10% off or whatever it was, and I didn't pay hazmat. So I charged them regular price, but they didn't pay hazmat. And I don't know how legal this is, but it was way back when. But I had a bed cover on my truck. I'd show up, and there's 100 pounds of powder and 50,000 primers, and I'd sit on my tailgate an hour before a match, and people would come over and just start buying stuff. And that's kind of how Shooter Source started. And it was just me having a little bit of fun. And, next thing you know, they're like, hey, can you get me this holster? Can you get me this? Can you get me that? So that's kind of where Shooter Source was when I sold the landscaping business. And, I had a little bit to live off of, so I wasn't too worried about it. I'm not a person who can sit still. So I started planning out the next few years. What can I do? What can I do? And it's like, and stuff. There's not a lot of money in it, but I dig it. I'm having fun at it. Let's give this a go. Let's put 100% into it and just see what happens. And it kind of grew into what it was, both at the North Texas level and the Shooter Source level. And, here we are today. I get up, I go to work, I'm happy. I get to talk to dudes all the time, get to talk to them about gear. And a lot of it's, the biggest part of our customer base is new shooters. So you get to kind of, hey, I want to get this Uncle Mike's nylon holster. It's got this cool mag pouch in front of the holster too for 3-gun. It's like, no, you don't. You don't want that,
Yeah.
You kind of get to mentor them a little bit and kind of guide them,
I taught NRA basic pistol and personal protection in the home for a while. And that was my absolute favorite part, was to stop people from buying the Uncle Mike's nylon holster, or maybe even, the proverbial holster, but to, to help them decide like what is and what is not a good choice,
Exactly.
And, so that's pretty cool that you get to do that like every day. Now does Shooter Source have like a storefront, or are you guys completely virtual?
Completely virtual. It's not in the plans at this time to ever have a storefront. I don't want that headache. When I sold the landscaping business, I had 14 crews at the time. Each crew was 2 to 5 people. I don't want that headache again, to be honest. If it gets to the point where I can put some dude in charge, it's like, here, I'm paying you 6 figures, but you're taking all the headache, and I'll be on the beach in Hawaii, just make sure I get my check every week. That's a different story. But if I got to do it, I don't want that again, to be honest with you. Right. I like where it's at. I like the way we're growing. We're growing where it's sustainable. We're not making huge leaps, but every month we're adding a little bit. And it's easy to maintain and control. And as they say, not get too big for your britches.
So the your first product was reloading gear, and then reloading components. Where did you go from there? Did you just decide, this is going to be competition shooting only, or did you try to think like, I want to be everything to everybody?
No, hell no. I don't want to be everything to everybody. I've learned in business you can't be that. And if you try to be, you're going to be nobody. That's what it boils down to. It kind of started where, hey, I need this holster. So I was like, okay, what kind? It was like BladeTech. I was like, all right, let me see what I can do with BladeTech, So I had a lot of free time on my hand. I was unemployed. My job was sitting on a tailgate on Saturday morning selling stuff before an IDPA match or USPSA match, BladeTech, hey, I want to get a dealer account. What does it take? Oh, it takes this. All right, cool. So the next weekend I show up to the IDP or USPSA match. Hey, I'm making a BladeTech order next week. If y'all want something, write it down right here. That's kind of where it went. And then it was, I need this, or I need a Safari land holster, or I need this or that. And it just kind of like started going. And before long, that's when I was in 3-gun. And I know competition gear. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to try to cater to the Leo market because I'm not a cop. I'm not any of that stuff. I don't know what they run. I don't know what they prefer. I don't know the process, but I know competition gear, and I can talk knowledgeable and educated about it to a dude if he has a question. So I stuck with that, initially just it's 3-gun or IPSC related is all it was, and a little bit IDPA, which IDPA, there's not a lot of gear, but it was related to the shooting sports in general. And over time, now that there's a lot of gear out there that is not just 3-gun related, it's just, if it's just good quality gear. You can take it overseas, you can take it down the road to Bubba's 3-gun, and it works good for both of them. And so we've started adding more products like that, but I have no desire to be this big, huge organization, to be honest. Kind of going back to what I said before, if one day I wake up and I hate this stuff and it's more stress than it's worth, dude, I'll drop it, I'm a huge believer you got to like what you do. Otherwise, you're just going to make your family miserable, or more than I do already.
Yeah. So how does the family feel then about Shooter Source and North Texas Multigun?
Dude, it's I'm very blessed. I got a wife that has stuck with me for 18 years. Most people don't make it past 18 minutes with me. I just kind of bounce all over the place, and I say what I think, which rubs some people the wrong way. But Misty is very cool with it. It helps that she works on Saturdays. She's a party planner, so parties happen at night and on the weekends. So, it kind of works out. So I'll leave and I'll go to the range, usually sometime on Thursday. And I've got a house there on the range, and I stay at the house. So I don't come home till Sunday. And she's really cool with it. And every now and then she'll drop a little nugget, hey, we're going to get out of town for a day. It'd be nice if you were kind of joining us, if you can, Well,
you know what that means?
Oh, yes. You read between the lines on that. It's, you better pack your ass with us if you want me to be nice to you for the next couple of weeks. So it's not very often she does that, but when she does, you know what, honey, I need that. I need to, and you do. I drop what I'm doing. I cancel a match if it happens to be a match weekend, whatever it is. Family always comes first. Sometimes work takes priority, but family always comes first. And they're cool with it. And my daughter Kaylee, she'll go out there and shoot with us from time to time when I can rip her out of school or something like that. Or she just goes out there and just likes being on the ranch. I mean, it is a working cattle ranch where we shoot as well as a range, but she likes going out there and walking into the chicken coop and getting eggs for breakfast the next morning. Or it's funny because when you enter this property, it's 4.2 miles from the front gate to my house in the back where the shooting bays are at.
Ah, that's crazy.
4.2 miles of gravel. And this was one Friday afternoon. She came out there with me. She helped me set up stages that morning. She's like, I'm going for a run. I'm like, all right, cool. And you have fun. I'm not. I hate running. The only time I like to run is when I got a gun in my hand or yeah, that's about it. And, I was going to say when I got to go to the bathroom, but, that's only 2 times I like to run. Well, rule number 1 on that property is you always got a gun on you, period. There's no exceptions. That's one of the owner's rules. So I'm looking around. I was like, what am I going to give her? Because she's in gym shorts and a T-shirt and Nikes, and I was like, sorry, baby, it's all I got. So I take my truck gun out, a little 11.5-inch gun, AR, with a sling on it. I was like, here, you got to tote this the whole way. So, and she dug it, dude. She likes being out there, and you got to sacrifice sometimes because I am out there so much. And, running matches is a small part of North Texas Multigun. We do corporate events, stuff that I don't publicize. I don't publicize for a reason. Team building events, corporate events, charity events. We do a lot of other stuff. We do a lot of behind the scenes admin for other matches. So it's not just me being out there and running my 4 matches every month. It's a lot of other time, and I probably spend as much, if not more, time on that than I do shooter source.
So that's pretty cool. The corporate event type of model. What exactly do you do with the team building and the corporate event end of it?
So,
like, what would be a format, I guess?
So, for example, we did one recently for a real estate company, a big investment realtor company. They had some of their clients in town, some of their investors, very, very well off. And they're like, hey, they're going to be in town. We want to show them a good time. And I was like, well, cool. Give me an idea of what you want to do, and let's create a package for it. And long story short, they're like, we want to spend one day on the range. We don't have guns, we don't have ammo, but we want you to bring out some cool stuff, and we want you to feed us. So I was like, all right, cool. So they showed up that morning, about 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. I met them at the front gate. We drove back to the back. We shot 50 BMGs, 338 Lapuas, let them hit a 1,000-yard target. Just had a good time being an American, shooting some stuff you normally don't get to shoot. How often you get to lay behind a Barrett and shoot a target at 300, 400, 500 yards.
Yeah, no kidding. Hit it,
and then you get to keep the brass, so it's stuff like that.
Well, especially if you don't live in that environment, right?
Exactly.
If you shoot enough matches, eventually you'll probably, see a Barrett and talk your way into shooting one. But if you're not in that type of environment all the time, it's probably never, right?
Exactly. So we'll do stuff like that. It's not a set format per se. We did one for an organization recently where they had their guns in gear. They're like, hey, we want to do a little small 3-gun match. We're not big shooters. We like to get together and do this, and we want you to set it up and run it, but you need to provide your staff, and feed them lunch. And feed them lunch is like grilling hamburgers or, bring in some foot-long Subways or something like that. It's nothing like steak or anything like that, and they're like, we want to do it on a Wednesday. It's like, cool. So I start kind of hitting up my normal ROs. Like, hey, I know it's a work day, but, if there's any way possible, I would love to use your help. And I've got a core group that are really good, really, really good. They're knowledgeable, and they help out a lot, and I'll spoil them rotten, try to pay them as much as I possibly can, take them out for beer and steaks afterwards, whatever they need. And so that was another example, that was kind of a team match they did where they had to communicate, and they're like, we want a team building event. And I was like, look, man, I'm not a head dude. I'm not a head shrink. I'll create an event where they got to communicate and work together. If that's what you call team building, I'm your guy. You want anything more mind reading than that, you need to provide it, because I'm not that dude. But I can create stages that you have to work together. You have to communicate. You have to do something, if you want to be competitive. So, we'll do stuff like that. And, it comes and goes. Usually this time of year, we get really busy with that because corporations are spending budgets so they can, make sure they get that in their budget next year, whole thing. Or they don't want to pay taxes on it, whatever it is. I don't care. I'll do it,
Right. Doesn't matter why. We'll do it.
It's a business, dude. And it's, and we'll have people reach out. Hey, we need to run a charity event. We got some Allman, DFW Allman's Association. We just did one for them, and a lot of this stuff you won't see me publicize because I don't want shooters coming there and spanking these guys. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be about them. So, we'll do charity events for them. And I try to do 3 charity events a year, and sometimes it's hard to pick and choose because you want to help people, but at the same time, you're like, dude, I'm like one guy here, man. I work 16, 18-hour days. I just don't have that kind of time in my schedule, or I've already allocated, 2 weeks to charity events for this year, and I just can't. But, try to do as many as we can.
Well, it sounds like there's a ton of stuff going on with North Texas Multigun, and it's pretty cool to hear that you're able to do all that because you do treat it as a business rather than like a volunteer sort of thing. So so you're able to fully dedicate yourself to it. Now, before we talked here, Jeremy, or I guess before we started recording, you told me that you've got some other cool stuff coming up with North Texas Multigun, and maybe some details aren't quite settled or anything, but kind of give us some hints of what's to come for the 2017 season.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I'm kind of excited about it. It's looking at doing something different. Still continuing what we've been doing. And I don't have the right title for this, but it's going to be a nighttime shooting experience. Is one of the things we're going to start offering. It's all the guns, all the ammo, the nods, the thermals, everything's provided for you. You come out there, you do some dog hunting, coyote hunting, and we've got this course we set up where we put you in the back of a Ranger, and it's about a half a mile long, and all there are targets for you to shoot at while we're driving. And for guys that have never shot with night vision before and IR lasers, it's a whole new world. It is something that dudes just love it. They come out grinning. So we're going to start offering that next year. And like I said, we ran a couple tests here recently, just like me and one of the range manager and one of the other partners in it. And it's a hoot. I love it.
That sounds like fun.
It is. I can shoot almost any gun I want any day of the week, but that was fun to me because, it's like just drive and shoot. So
yeah, so driving and shooting is fun. I got to do that in a golf cart at Rockcastle this summer. Shooting at night is fun, and shooting with IR is fun. And now when you combine all those, like, holy cow, that sounds like a great concept.
Yeah, it's ought to be illegal. It's so fun, It's like, wow.
Might be, actually.
Yeah. It may be, but, it's not illegal unless you get caught, right? It's kind of like speeding.
That's right.
Which I've made my fair share of donations. Remind me that. I got a story for that later on. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the other one we're trying to come up with, and we kind of got the concept, but take a 3-gun match. So you shot Blue Ridge, right? Yes.
Yeah. I partially shot Blue Ridge.
I didn't mean to say it that
I shot
way.
some of Blue Ridge.
I'm sorry, Dave.
That's all right.
So the golf cart stage there, right? Where
that was one I didn't get to shoot, but I saw lots of video of that one.
Imagine you shoot a whole match that way.
From a golf cart?
From a Ranger. Golf carts go too slow. Rangers go fast. From a Ranger.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know what to call it, man. It's like, what, 3-gun golf? Hell, I don't know. But
3-gun drive-by?
There you go, man. We are close to South Dallas, so that'll fit in pretty sweet right there. Just saying. But yeah, something along that lines. Not on a monthly basis. It's a special occasion type stuff, but started up around 2:00 in the afternoon, and you shoot all the stages, 2 or 3 stages, but make them long, right? Boom, you're shooting shotgun, you're loading shotgun. There's a dump barrel. We come up to it, you dump it, you go to pistol. But the whole time you're shooting while you're seated in the vehicle and you're being driven through here. Run it till dark. After that, freaking all the light bars pop on the Rangers. Now we're going to do it at nighttime, with not IRs, not nods, not anything like that, but you put your lights on your guns, and we're going to shoot it again at nighttime. It just adds a whole new dynamic to it. And, when you got a light on a shotgun and you're coming up on a piece of steel, it's like, there it is, and most people think, okay, I got a 20-round shotgun stage. Yeah, give me 24 rounds. I'll be fine. Right. That's kind of normal, common. you're going to shoot 5 rounds at that because you're going to miss it 4 times, you know, when you go at 20 miles an hour past it. So kind of playing along those lines, and that's kind of the beginning of it. I want to start doing stuff like that. I look at it as, what would I like to do for a good time, right? When I build a stage, what would I enjoy? And that's what I build at a regular 3-gun match. And we're riding around shooting out of trucks all the time out there at the range after everybody leaves. And I was like, dude, I enjoy the hell out of this. I bet you other people would too. You know, so I kind of asked a couple of dudes. I was like, hey, you know, we did this at Vortex, the Vortex match we ran. You had to drive and shoot. And that one you actually drove yourself and shot the pistol out of it. But kind of asked them, I was like, what would you think about running a whole match like that, but somebody's driving you? And they don't even say a word, but their freaking lips are touching their earlobes because they're grinning so big, you know? And I'm like, that'd be awesome. Yeah. So we're gonna do a couple of guinea pig matches like that. Just try it out and try to work out any kinks that unforeseen. That start offering things of that nature out there. And then on the slower side of things, you know, we got targets set up over a mile. We're going to start offering the 1 mile experience. Set you down, teach a little bit about ballistics. We've got it's a Barrett 338 Lapua. I think it's a Barrett. I have to look at it. It's a 338 Lapua with a big old hunking Vortex scope on top and a 12 by 12 plate at a mile. And we're going to get you to hit it. As long as you kind of, you know, don't flinch and slap the trigger, almost everybody we put behind that gun has been able to hit it within a few shots. So, you know, it's not too many places you can go out and shoot a mile.
Yeah, no kidding.
So to be able to offer that experience or the 1,000-yard experience, even for some of those dudes that, you know, maybe they don't want to get behind a bigger gun. But, you know, it's going to be stuff like that. Just taking, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff that can be done. And just because nobody's doing it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means somebody hadn't put the time and the effort into developing it.
Well, I'm glad that you're out there with the time and the creativity to come up with all this stuff. It sounds like some amazing things coming from you in 2017. I'm gonna have to come down and visit you and shoot some of your matches.
Dude, you got to, man. It's a hoot. We got Vortex coming up next year, and then hopefully another shotgun match coming up, and then, you know, some other things in the works. For those people that like running, we're doing the We Defy running gun. We Defy is a local charity. 2 friends of mine started, 2 special forces dude that helps injured dudes coming back, amputees coming back from overseas, kind of cope with life through MMA and through jiu-jitsu and through lifting. And that's one of the charity matches we're doing next year. We're doing a running gun. You know, we're going to take advantage of 3,800 acres, and you get to choose. Do you want to choose it's a 2-gun AR and pistol, and there's different divisions: the 5.5K, 7.62K, the 10K, and then what I call the 50 of all mothers, the 20K. Yeah, and it's one of those things. When you leave your truck, you don't see your truck again until either you quit and you walk back to it, or you come across the finish line. It makes a full circle. And so you better take enough ammo and water and whatever you need to complete the course. And I've done a few of those. That's my twisted mind works. I hate running, so I go do a running gun. I don't get it, but I have a blast doing it, dude. It's awesome. You know, I like being challenged.
I love that concept. I was talking to Adam Maxwell at the where the heck were we? 3-Gun Nation Nationals. And he's doing that up in Minnesota as well.
Yeah. Him and Mark are doing the trek.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool stuff. You know,
it sounds like I'm hearing more and more of those matches sprouting up. So what is it about that format that you think is so catchy and so much fun for people?
So a lot of guys that shoot competitively are somewhat fit. Not everybody, don't get me wrong. But, you know, somewhat athletic, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just another way. It's another event I get to do with guns. Anything to do with guns, I'm usually going to be in. You know, I don't care if it's with my little Red Ryder in the backyard shooting Coke cans across the backyard. If it's got a gun involved and something comes out the end of a barrel, I'm going to be in, um, and I suck at running, but I like a challenge, so I go do a running gun. Did my first one. When was it? Last year. It was like a January day in Oklahoma, of all places, where it's either 100 degrees or it's 3 feet of snow. And
Right.
and I did that one, and I was hooked. It was almost like 3-gun. I got done. I was complimenting the guy that orchestrated everything. I was like, man, very well run, and he didn't know me from Adam, because it's a whole different group of people. But for me to say it's a very well run event, I'm kind of anal and picky, because that's kind of what I do for a living. And I was like, when's the next one? Oh, it's in June in Pecos, Texas, or Pecos. And I was like, damn it, I got to wait till June to do this again, And I didn't do another one the rest of the year because it kept falling. The schedule just never worked out. Either I had a match to run, or I was already committed somewhere else for work, or something was going on, and I couldn't do them. And I did a few this year, and I loved it. And like I said, when We Defy started up, that's something that's near and dear to my heart, And we did some charity for them at the Vortex match, a shoot off, and try to help raise money. I kind of told them, I was like, hey, dude, I want to do this kind of match. I got permission from the range to just run all over the place with guns and dig some trenches if I wanted to. Whatever I wanted to do, I get to do it. And kind of approached We Defy. I was like, I want to do this for y'all. Can I have your permission to promote it as a We Defy event? And they're like, hell yeah. So it's super cool to be able to be part of that, be allowed to be part of that, and just raise money for those guys. Because, I see it firsthand at our gym. There's a lot of injured vets that, and I'll get all sobby here, but they're used to being part of something, right? Then they get out, either medically discharged or whatever. They're looking to be part of something again, and they're lost if they don't. So to be able to hopefully help in a very small way of getting them part of something again, whether it's a gym or whatever it may be. I don't care if you're freaking crocheting or knitting a quilt, dude, just to fulfill that need, that team environment for them. Man, it's the least we can do for these dudes that come back with not on their limbs again. So yeah, that's something we're trying to do. And sorry, didn't mean to be a downer, but
no, just, not at all, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us. It definitely is something that I think as civilians, a lot of us take for granted the sacrifice that our guys make, and I think you're right on. A lot of the studies that I've seen with rehab is hugely based on community, and that's one thing that 3-gun and these run and gun events, and like you said, jiu-jitsu and different gyms offer, is a community. So if we can do that, and you can provide that sort of venue, that's a big plus for everybody.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So yeah, man, I'm kind of excited about for 2017 and what's coming up, and it's whatever else I dream up, it's I'm not afraid to try anything, and we'll kind of come up with something creative, and some people look at it and go, that's just dangerous, that's scary, but no, it's not. Come out there, I'll show you. Got a good friend of mine owns a helicopter company, and years ago he's like, I want to take civilians up and let them shoot out of it with IRs and night vision and during the day and at night and shoot targets. Everybody called him crazy. Barrett, you can't do that. You can't do that. We just freaking did that 2 months ago out there. We had the Helo games. You came out, you went up in a bird, you shot targets, you went to dinner, you came back, you got to do it again at night with night vision. So
that's so cool.
It's an adrenaline rush, no doubt.
I think I met Barrett at SHOT Show.
Huh?
I think I met Barrett at SHOT Show.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a Barrett Blimp. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and so he's local to us here, and he does a lot of stuff out there at Triple C. And it's a lot of us try to network. If I can help him do something, go out there and work for him at Hilo Games or whatever. Just and I think he's planning on doing it in June again next year. And I had a meeting with him yesterday of how we can make it bigger and better for him, and more entertaining for the customer. Because it's fun when the customers were there and see their smile on their face when they just went through like 300 rounds of ammo in about 8 minutes from the air. I mean, they were grinning. For me, the fun part was when all they left and the Sims came out, and we may or may not have shot Sims at other people, may or may not have after there when they mooned us and we shot them in the ass. I'm just saying, it may or may not have happened. I could have dreamed that, but
allegedly.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about it.
It sounds like 2017 is going to be a big year for you, and you're trying all kinds of new and different things as well. So, Jeremy, can you give us an idea of like where you see 3-Gun headed? Is it more variety? Is it more the same? What do you see if you look in your crystal ball?
Well, I see it branching out a little bit. 3-Gun, it's no lie. You can't throw a rock without hitting a 3-gun match down there any weekend of the month, whether it's major or local. There's only so many ways you can do it. I kind of like the fact that you can go to a match and it's still 3-gun. It's a different flavor. And what I mean by that is Andy Horner. There's one match a year I take vacation for. Or there's a couple. That's the main one. I go shoot Andy's match because it's tough, dude. I left there with a torn delt and a dislocated elbow, but I had a freaking blast. That was like the best thing. Hey, look at my elbow. I got 2 growing out my left side. Isn't that cool? I had fun, So, yeah, it's so you got the different flavors, if you will. You got the Andy Horner match, and then Pete over in Vegas, the stuff he does. He does a different style, and it's just freaking awesome to do that. So I'm hoping these different styles will continue to be created. Either it's through new match directors or existing match directors going, hey, I'm tired of the same old, same old. I want to do something different. Or, it's called 3-gun, but we're going to incorporate a 4th gun, whether it's a long gun, kind of like, I think Iron Man does that for one of their stages where you can bring in a long gun for one stage or something like that. I honestly don't have a vision of where it's going because, 10 years back, if you would have said, hey, in 10 years, you'll be able to shoot a major, there's be 40, 45 majors in 1 year, you would have gone, that's crazy. There's not going to be that many,
Yeah.
But look at it now. Look at the Enos form. Dude, it's like a whole page of scrolling on a 30-inch monitor to see all the damn matches going on. It's awesome, you know?
Yeah, it's an abundance of options, and the planning of the 2017 season is super difficult at this point because there's so many amazing matches and there's only a finite amount of time and money to get to all of them.
Yeah, the biggest problem I see, not a problem, obstacle, all those it's great for shooters, right? Shooters can pick and choose. It's a shooter's market right now. You pick and choose which match you want to support with your money, with your attendance. When you're trying to run matches, it can be difficult to fill one because of that reason. But it's great for the sport. And anything that's great for the sport has got to be great for everybody. There's no need of being selfish going, well, my match didn't fill, but look at all these other matches. Look at these opportunities. Look at, the majority is having fun, and we're being an American, and doing American shit. That's what it's all about. So I see it branching out a little bit. I think 3-Gun Nation started doing their long range stuff. I noticed in February I'm going to Florida to Core to the PRS gas gun opener, and I'm noticing a lot of 3-gunners are doing that, which I think is pretty cool. So I guess I don't have a vision, just for that reason. Is 10 years ago, I never envisioned that, I'd be living on the range 3-4 days a week like I do. And, a dude could go shoot a major every weekend if he had the income, There's just no telling. Anybody with any kind of creativity, any kind of ambition, and surrounding themselves with the right kind of people, dude, sky's the limit on what you can do. I mean, hell, I'm talking about doing 3-gun out of a Ranger while you're driving. If you're crazy or stupid enough, I don't know which one it is, you can do it. So, I think it's just going to continue to get bigger, and hopefully more creative. I think the big obstacle most match directors find these days in 3-gun is the number of matches have grown so much, but ultimately we're pulling from the same sponsor pool that's been there for years.
Right.
And putting together a prize table, I've said it a million times to dudes, I'd rather set up a stage by myself in the August Texas heat, sunburned and barefooted, than have to put together a prize table. So it's tough.
Do you see like a future situation where maybe they go to, instead of like prizes for the top 200 shooters, that maybe there's a prize for, like, say, the top 3, and then everyone else gets like a medal, kind of like when you run like a marathon or 10K or something like that?
No, I don't, to be honest. There's two types of people, two types of shooters. One that's going to pull something off their prize table that he really needs, or he's going to try to sell it immediately to recoup funds. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. And there's dudes out there that go for the matches. They go to have a fun time. Half the time, I don't walk the prize table. I find a kid sitting around there going, hey, they just called your name. Go get whatever you want, because I don't need anything. I got guns. I got everything I need. I go A, for the people, and then B, for good quality challenging stages. So I think you'd have a hard time filling a match. And anytime you run a match, it's a business, right? Whether it's a not-for-profit or not, there's a budget in mind. And if you go, hey, I want $2.95 for a match fee, but you're not going to get a prize table unless you're the top 3, but you're going to get a 50-cent medal. Some dudes are going to go, oh, yeah, I ain't doing that, Me, I don't care. If it's a good match, I'll go shoot it.
Right.
I could be completely wrong, and I hope I am, but I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. You could always go to cash payouts, but what do you have to charge to make the budget balance for that?
Right.
Yeah.
There's
money. There's money in running matches. There's no secret about that. There's not the money to run them and be able to go, hey, Dave, you got first place. Here's your $3,000. And try to do that. And pay everybody. I don't think it's doable with a affordable match fee,
Yeah.
Because it's, unless you ran a match and you're one of the outsiders looking in, you look at it and go, well, if you weren't so stingy, you didn't have to make $40,000, $50,000. It's like, dude, obviously you never ran a match, have you? Because
yeah.
You know what? That ice water you drank this weekend, that's $1,100 worth of money I spent on it. It's little stuff that adds up that nobody recognizes,
Yeah, just paper targets. The budget of paper targets I've heard from a couple matches and just blows my mind.
Yeah, dude. I mean, on average, you're going to drop 70 to 80 cents a target. That's for one freaking target.
Yeah.
You got to change them out every night because of the dew and the tape, and they're shot up. You got to, so you start adding that stuff up, and when you take care of all your staff, you put them up in hotels, you feed them, you dress them. The venue. If you serve them food, the like I said, the ice water. For me, it was popsicles. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be stupid. I'm going to run a match in Texas in July last year. I was like, but I'm going to feed you popsicles. So aren't we good?
Everything's fine, right?
Yeah, right. And so I went online. I looked for popsicles. ordered 4,000 popsicles. And if you didn't have a popsicle in your hand anytime during that Vortex match, it's because you refused one of us handing you a popsicle. You're like, no, I'm limiting myself to 10 a day, so I'm good right now, thanks,
Nice.
So I guess to answer your question, I'd love to see it go to that, where dudes come out there just for a good quality match. But honestly, like I said, I hope to be proven wrong. I don't think that's a reality,
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, because none of us do have a crystal ball. But it's the good thing though is that there is, like you said, abundance of options for shooters right now, and mostly people don't have to travel like 13, 14 hours to hit a great match. So, but there are the ones out there that you continue to travel for. And Jeremy, I want to get your final thought in a minute here, but I got to tell the audience a story real quick. You were just talking about Blue Ridge and good quality stages and also the people. So we kind of alluded to it a little earlier, but I DQ'd from Blue Ridge.
Honestly, I was not trying to lead you into that.
No. No, this is on my list of stuff to talk to Jeremy about. But no, I definitely I ate it hard when I was at Blue Ridge, and let's see, it was a stage where my cruiser ready shotgun was slung over my back. I was running with my rifle. I was doing a magazine change, had a hot pistol in my holster, and I went down because I tripped over like a 3-inch stump. Went down, and in fact, I think 3 other people went down on that. One guy was, or that I heard anyway. 2 guys were, or 1 guy and 1 gal were shooting, and then 1 guy during the walkthrough went down on that same stump. So I didn't feel so bad afterwards, but I was at a full bore run, went down on that stump, and grounded the rifle safely. Shotgun hit me in the back of the head, but it went down safely. And both had sand all over inside the receivers and outside and everything. And unfortunately, I did go endo, and my pistol came out. So I decided to stick around and enjoy the people aspect of it, right? Like you were talking about, you come for the great stages and you stay for the people. So
right.
Last night of the match, I'm out, hanging out with people, having some beers and stuff like that. And I think to myself, like, oh, I'll go grab another beer. And then somewhere along the line, I was like, you know what? I should just go to bed. So as I'm heading over to my trailer, I see that my tailgate and the back of my truck are still open. Walk over there, and sitting on the tailgate is a holster, and stuffed inside is a note, and it's a Safariland ALS with the the active locking active retention. And the note says, "Lock that shit in, Jeremy." So I gotta say, we've chatted a little bit via message, but I gotta say thank you, right here in front of everyone. That was a very, very nice gesture, and I've been practicing with that thing, and it's actually quite fast.
It's a damn good holster, and that's what it's about, dude. It's funny because I saw the video and I heard about it, and everybody heard about it because after you did it, our walkthrough was proceed down this path with your rifle. Do not trip over Dave's stump. This is Dave's stump. Okay. This word for word. I shit you not. This is Dave's stump.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I run an ALS on my Glock 34, and I asked around. I was like, what kind of pistol was he running? And he said, I think it was a 34. I was like, all right, I'll take my chances. So I've always got gear like most of us. We got crap floating around. We slam the brakes on, and next thing you know, a case of ammo comes out from underneath the seat. It's just where our trucks are.
Yep.
And so I'm looking around. I was like, give me another ALS. Didn't have one, so I was like, I'm going to take this one off the belt. I saw your tailgate down. I thought maybe you were in there sleeping because it was pretty late. It was 1 in the morning. I don't know.
It was pretty late.
Like and I was like, all right, we're just going to leave it right here. And I was hoping you wouldn't, like I said, some people take me the wrong way. That was my way of being kind.
No, man. When I picked it up, first thing I did was crack up because that was a very, very nice gesture, and I do appreciate that. It was it was a hard fall, man. I was digging sand out of my nose and my ears, and had some in my mouth and everything, and in every magazine well possible. It was a tough fall. So the holster I was running, was great in 184 other situations, and then there's that one where I could have used an ALS. So,
Yeah. To me, that ALS is, and everybody's got a different opinion. I like having retention in 3-gun, and it doesn't take long to learn how to draw with it.
Yeah.
That or a WRS, any of them are good. But yeah, man, we've all been there, dude. It's
oh yeah,
I've DQ'd more times than I care to admit, and I try to learn from it. And it happens. So
sure.
and that's what I like about the community. Hey, let's help each other out. There's nothing in return. Let's just help each other out.
Yeah. Well, and then Joel Turner actually aided on that same stump, so I didn't feel quite as bad. But
dude, I heard he bent. Did he bend an open gun or something? He made a post. I didn't ask him about it. I forgot to.
He bent his optic mount and had to pound it back in.
Dang. Yes. Well, no, he ain't a Marine, is he? But he is an Army dude, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
So,
quick story about that ALS here, and we won't belabor the point, but when I was shooting the 3-Gun Nation Southwest Regional in Marble Falls this summer, I was shooting with Cobalt Kinetics dudes.
Yeah.
And someone, I can't remember, someone was talking about holsters or something, and Nick Atkinson was like, yeah, I run the ALS, and I was like, is that the one with retention? And like, it boggled my mind. And Keith Garcia is like, oh yeah, I run the same one. And I'm watching these guys draw for days and days here, and they're doing it so stinking fast. You would not have guessed that there was retention on there. So that was it was interesting to see. So it like you said, it can be smooth and it can be super fast, because I didn't even notice those guys had active retention on there. Yeah,
it's you move your thumb just a little bit for an active draw stroke, but if you're running like a 2011, for me it was an easy when I went from 2011 back to Glock 34. It was easy because my thumb was usually flagged coming out of the holster.
Yeah.
As I was coming up to get ready to take the safety off once I got the gun up and out. So, going to that, couple draws, a couple minutes in the gun room, and my draws were on par with, my USPSA rig without retention. So,
yeah, I was pretty surprised how fast I was able to adapt to the new holster. It took less than 10 draws to like, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Most definitely.
Well, the point of that story was to, make fun of myself, and hopefully we get some laughs out there. And again, Jeremy, thank you. That was such a nice gesture. I totally appreciate that.
Dude. Very well.
So, Jeremy, we've covered a lot of ground here, man. You have such an interesting story, and you're doing a ton for the community. And I really like that you've been able to dedicate your life to something that you're passionate about, and also make a living on that as well, so you're able to continue to do so. So thank you for sharing all the great stories and everything, and give us a final thought. Give us something to walk away with here. What do you want the audience to know about you?
Take somebody under your wing. We all had somebody help us get into shooting. Pay it forward, just whatever it may be, help a dude get into being an American. I said it 100 times, and that's kind of my thing. Get into being an American. That just means be a good dude, play with guns, be safe, and just get out there and shoot. That's from a personal aspect. From a business aspect, help volunteer with some of your local stuff, help run a match, help set up a stage. That it's hard to say thank you enough, and sometimes thank you doesn't seem like good enough. But when you show up early at a match and help a MD set up, whether it's just stapling up targets, trust me, they may not say it enough, but it goes a long way. So just be a good person. That's what life's all about, and you may be able to change a life, change somebody's thought process or their outlook on life if you do that.
I love it, Jeremy. It's a great final thought. And again, I appreciate your your time and sharing your story with the audience here. Thanks for being on this 3-Gun Show, man.
Man, it's my pleasure. It's great to talk to you. I appreciate you having me. It's been fun. It's been funny. So that's awesome.
Right on, man. We'll chat soon.
Yes, sir. Be good.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jeremy Moore. I just love this job because I get to chat with high performers like Jeremy. He has clearly worked hard to provide a great venue and multiple opportunities for shooters to compete, and his passion certainly shows through. So that was a lot of fun. As a side note, I've been wanting to shoot a running gun for a while. I just haven't done it. I ran obstacle races for a bunch of years, but focusing on the Three Gun Show podcast here has caused my fitness to decline a little bit, embarrassingly. But from my racing experience, I know that having an event on the schedule really gives you something to focus on and to work toward, much like scheduling that big 3-gun match gets you to practice, right? So I'm proclaiming here and now that I'm going to run, or I'm going to shoot, I guess, or shoot and run, the We Defy running gun on May 20th, 2017. So that will force me to get my butt back into running shape. So come shoot it with me, and we can triumph together. It'll be a ton of fun. So links to that and everything else that we discuss can be found at 3gunshow.com/episode 102. And again, check out 3gunshow.com/support before you shop at Brownells, Amazon, Cabela's, and Optics Planet. We earn a small commission on what you buy at no additional cost to you, and your purchase will help keep the show running. Now, I have another review to read to you from iTunes, and I love getting these, and I read each one of them, and I'll definitely read yours on the show if you leave one at 3gunshow.com/iTunes. And this is from Beard1182, and he says, or she says, "I love this show! 5 stars. New interviews each week from the top shooters in 3-gun from all over the country, sharing tips and advice, as well as match stories and what is new in the world of 3-gun. Dave does a great job of keeping every show fun and entertaining. If you are into any of the shooting sports or even just shooting in general, you are sure to get something out of this show. It has definitely helped me to take my game to the next level. Thanks, Dave, for all the work you have put into the show and building our sport." Well, thanks, Beard1182. Much appreciated. Happy to do it for you, and I'm glad you keep listening, and glad you enjoy it. So, everybody else, thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.